I feel I have done pretty well at grasping their needs and making myself useful. I hope then that this book will reach historians from middle school through doctoral study and beyond, as well as those who identify not as historians, anthropologists, economists, geographers, political scientists, policymakers, sociologists, journalists, and nonfiction writers, but who want to answer questions about the past. One peril of any guide to research is that it will suggest that the process is more linear than it really is. Ski jumpers must perform their tasks in a set order: in-run, takeoff, flight, and landing. If they deviate from this order, they have violated not only the rules of the sport, but the laws of physics as well. Figure skaters, by contrast, get to choose the order in which they will perform the various spins and jumps on which they will be judged. Writing history is more like figure skating in this regard. So long as you eventually perform all the tasks, the order is relatively unimportant. In point of fact, figure skaters get bonuses for moves performed later in their program. Please ignore this complication for the purpose of simile. In this book, I have tried to present the skills of the historian in what strikes me as a plausible order. In practice, you should expect to deploy these skills as needed, jumping back and forth, repeating some tasks, and skipping others. As William McNeill once described his process, I get curious about a problem and start reading up on it. What I read causes me to redefine the problem. Redefining the problem causes me to shift the direction of what I'm reading. That, in turn, further reshapes the problem, which further redirects the reading. I go back and forth like this until it feels right. Two researchers with similar goals may differ widely in the tools and methods that produce the best results. One may work for an hour each morning, write a first draft in longhand, and never pause to outline or count words until they have a substantial bit of work on paper. Another may set aside 1 day per week for intensive work, starting with an outline, typing every word, and obsessively tracking progress. Some historians do not begin to write until they have gathered all the sources they think they will need for a project, transcribed key passages, and composed a complete outline. If that were the only way to write history, I would need to find another job. Even the individual historian must use multiple methods at different stages in a project. Sometimes you need to read a source closely, teasing out each nuance. At other times, you need to use outside information to put the source in context, or assemble hundreds or thousands of sources in order to discern a pattern. And just because one method works for one project, it may not work for the next. A work based mostly on primary sources has a different rhythm from one based mostly on secondary sources, and perhaps it demands different tools as well. Similarly, some projects and some researchers can take advantage of the very latest in computer technology and digital resources, while others will do just fine using methods similar to those employed by scholars hundreds of years ago. If a method works for you, it is not my place to challenge it. Rather, I hope in this book to document some of the methods that historians have used to pose and answer questions, to craft stories and arguments. Instead of telling you what to do, I hope to show you some options. Similarly, you should feel free to read the following chapters in whatever order makes the most sense to you. For example, reading the chapters on outlining and writing early may help you understand some of the chapters that precede them in the book. By learning the components of a finished work, you may have an easier time framing questions, identifying sources, and taking notes. This book mixes recommendations, I hesitate to call them instructions, with model passages from historians, showing various techniques in practice. As both a learner and a teacher, I have found such combinations effective, and I hope my readers will as well. If nothing else, I hope the examples show that most of the guidance in this book is not a set of arbitrary rules that I have devised, but rather a compilation of practices used by a wide range of historians across many genres and specialties. When judging